there's a difference between man-to-man and blitz coverage. Man-to-man, you're covering your man. Every route you got covered. You have some help in the post. That blitz coverage, you have no help. You have to come off. You have to shuffle, jump any route inside because he's not supposed to have time to throw a double move. Now you play against Ruggs, runs a double move on that kid, wide open. Makes him look embarrassed. I just don't understand the call to put those guys in that position. You can say, we played cover two the play before and they creased us, but you have to put it in the player's hands. Put them in a play that's responsible. Put it in their hands. If they don't make the play, so be it. But don't put them in that position where you're setting them up for failure and they end up losing the game for it. It's disappointing. As a defensive back, as a fan of the Jets, I feel sorry for those guys.
A strong reaction there from Eric Coleman. And Anthony, when Eric says you have to put it in the player's hands, what does he mean by that? And what was your reactions while you're watching this baby unfold late? Because the Jets, they had no business losing this game after taking control of it in the fourth quarter. They really had it. They actually held the Raiders on downs prior to the offense getting the ball back, and they punted it back, and the Raiders ultimately moved to the 46-yard line. But there was 13 seconds on the clock, and they had no timeouts.
What Eric's talking about is, listen, you got 40-plus yards to go to score. You need to score a touchdown. I would much frankly try to see a ball get thrown up with 3 or 4 Jets players around the receiver and leverage my bet on that those 4 guys or 3 defenders can knock down a football on the last play of the game. Listen, you very rarely see an all-out blitz, okay? Man-to-man, cover zero blitz on the last play of the game, especially that far back. I mean, in general, I'd be telling the DBs, and even if he just played a shell in the back end, sit it at 10 yards and just backpedal and just track eyes. The ball goes up, make a play on the ball. As it pertains to that play in general, Lamar Jackson, again, I know he's inexperienced. He's young. He's an undrafted rookie. To bite on a double move, listen, Eric can speak to that. In that situation, knowing situational football, I'm not quite sure that would pull me or make me hesitate to jump that, but he did. And, when you're one-on-one versus arguably one of the fastest players in the NFL, he is. Ruggs is one of the fastest guys. That's a tough ask. And, unfortunately, it came down to that play. And, I would have loved to have seen just several green jerseys at the goal line defending the pass than one chasing a white jersey at the end with no help to help him.
Wow. Anthony, you brought it up after the game. You said you thought it might be an omen because Nelson Aguilar got behind the Jets on second down, and you were worried about that play. The very next play, of course, Ruggs finishes up in the end zone with 5 seconds on the clock. Eric, what is Lamar Jackson feeling right now at this point, and what do you think it is like walking into the locker room after the Jets put so much work into this ballgame, fellas? They started out the season 0-11 for the first time in franchise history. It was there. It was in their hands.
Well, I can't really explain what he's feeling, but, I know as a player, if I were put in that position, to defend against a zero blitz at the end of the game, last play, there's, 13 seconds left, 3rd down and 10, 45 yards. Literally all you have to do is tackle them in bounds and the game is over. And to be put in an all-out blitz situation, he technically played the coverage the way that you're supposed to play it. Of course, he's not supposed to get beat deep for a touchdown, but he has no help anywhere. So he has to honor all those moves. And the coach is supposed to put the players in the best position to thrive. And I think that if they would have played even a cover 4, that would have been more like a man-to-man coverage where he had to stay on top. That would give you an opportunity to play it top down. But, as a player in the locker room, it has to be frustrating. You have to feel for the young kid who got beat for the touchdown. But ultimately, you're frustrated that you had this game in your hands. The last seconds of the game, you lost it. It has to be frustrating. You're 0, you lose every game, and then you have one that you're going to get. You finally have it in your hands that you're going to cross the goal line and win the game, and then the last play you give it up. It's I feel for them, and I hope they can keep it together in the locker room and keep their composure and keep fighting forward.
So the Jets bet on their pressure in that late game situation. They sent 8 towards Derek Carr. Carr gets the ball off in the direction of Henry Ruggs, the first receiver taken in the 2020 NFL draft. And he was going head to head with Lamar Jackson, an undrafted free agent out of Nebraska. And the Raiders won that battle. They win the game. After this contest, though, Jackson spoke to the media. Here's what he had to say.
Hey, Lamar, thanks for doing this. Could you just take us through that last play, your responsibilities, and kind of, how the play developed?
First and foremost, we in hand zero, so zero coverage. Of course, I got my man. I knew the situation. I knew it was one of them things where there's going to be taking a shot at the end zone. So initially, I just was getting back, like, zero coverage, just, protect the end zone, what's important. So I kind of just getting depth, the receiver gave me a little, nice little double move, head fake, I kind of related to it. And of course, he's a fast guy. He's able to get a step in, and that was that. I mean, it's tough, but I mean, it's all learning experiences. I can only get better from here. How I see it is, I just know what not to do next time.
Mar, we were just talking to Marcus May a moment ago, and he felt like that was maybe not the right defensive call there. In that situation, I know this is so immediate after the game there, but but what's your feeling there to be put in that position there when maybe you just need to keep them in front of you at that point?
I mean, that's something that's above my head. I mean, May said it, he said it, but like I just know that I could only just play the call. Any situation, I'm a rookie. I ain't got no leverage. I ain't got no, what I'm saying, no seniority to debate a call or just to ask about a call. I just got to do my job. I heard the call and I just got to execute it. I mean, of course, I didn't execute it to the best of my ability or how I would have wanted to. I mean, it's tough, but at the same time, I also know that play is not going to define me or my career.
You are watching Jets Overtime, presented by Duncan. Eric Allen inside the BetMGM studio. The green and white fall to 0-12 for the first time in franchise history. A demoralizing, devastating loss at MetLife Stadium today. 31 for the Raiders, 28 for the Jets. As I bring in Eric Coleman and Anthony Beck, the quote that I think of when I watch Lamar Jackson speak is, "Pressure can burst a pipe, fellas, and pressure can make a diamond." The pipe burst today.
Yeah, it did. And, I have to give a lot of credit to Lamar. He handled that very well. A young player with the defensive mind. You have to forget about it. That play is over with. You move forward from there. But, great answer by him. He tried to play the coverage, should have played it better, but it's a learning experience for him. And at the end of the day, if you're the Jets, that one play didn't make or break the whole game. I mean, it looks like it, when you watch the highlights. But, there were some plays out there that they probably could have made, could have played better. For instance, Waller had 200 yards receiving today. There were some things that they could clean up. But if you look at this film, you have to be confident if you're the Jets. There are a lot of great things that they did offensively and defensively that they can build on. So it's going to be important for those leaders to stick together, keep those players together, and keep moving forward because they're getting close.
Anthony, we'll get to Sam Darnold in a moment, but what did you think about the ground games for this team? Frank Gore went out early with a head injury, and the backfield was left with Ty Johnson and Josh Adams. And they responded with more than 200 yards on the ground. They kept on pushing the Raiders off the line of scrimmage. And these guys had great games, both of them.
Yeah, I guess as I'm talking, you can maybe find out the last time we had a 100-yard rusher, but it was good to see Johnson have that. I got to give credit to F-line and the left guard and Becton on the left side. I mean, they basically ran right to that side every single time. And they were able to create huge creases, and those guys made some plays. I'm not quite sure the last time I remember a team rushing for that many yards and not coming out of a game with victorious for 200-plus yards rushing. And just quickly to go back to Lamar Jackson, I'm glad he didn't take the cheese. I think that in this day and age, it's very easy to get caught up, especially for guys that haven't done anything yet in the league. And like he basically alluded to and said, listen, I'm asked to do a certain job. That's what my responsibility was. And, I had to play it the best that I could. So you take ownership, you take accountability, and I can respect that from a young player. And, that is a tough position to be in. There's no question about it. But again, listen, I think from the beginning to end in this game, in particular, the last series on defense where the players and Williams, who had an outstanding game up front to stop 2 fourth down conversions. The offense gets the ball back, and unfortunately, you weren't able to run the clock out to get a first down. And to be in that situation with the Raiders having to go 40 plus yards with 12 seconds left, you got to be feeling pretty good as a team. And it's just unfortunate. As this game unraveled and you saw things happen, and you saw Sam kind of lead the team down in the fourth quarter and get that touchdown and lowers his shoulder and knocks the heck out of the safety. And you just, that was an angry, frustrating, celebratious run touchdown for Darnold. And you felt it. You felt like this was the game where they played an extremely talented team. Let's not mistake that. But again, you got to finish, right? We talk about finishing games. It really does mean to the last second. And unfortunately, the Jets weren't able to do that.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Jets are 0-12 and losing in the most dramatic fashion here on this Sunday afternoon as their December schedule opens up. But as far as the ground gains, the Jets rushed for 206 yards on the ground on 34 carries, 6.1 yards a pop, and Ty Johnson led the way with 104 yards and a touchdown. Our own Olivia Landis talked to Ty after the game.
Team reporter Olivia Landis here with running back Ty Johnson. Ty, you had a pretty great game today, 104 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. That you had more than half of the team's 206 total rushing yards. What went well for you in today's game?
The linemen, the perimeter, that's what they did. They got pushed. They blocked the guys on the edge, and, they opened up the hole, and I guess we took it from there, really. The O-line just dominated up front, and it showed.
When you and other running backs are able to have a solid running game, how does that help other aspects of the offense?
Complementary football, if you can run the ball, you can pass the ball. If you can pass the ball, you can run the ball. So just complementary football, and we had a few good drives out there, a lot of good drives, and it showed when we could pass it and come back to a run or run it, get to a pass. And then get to a play action pass. So it definitely helped out a lot.
Ty, the game ended unfortunately with just under 10 seconds left. The Raiders had that score. Quarterback Derek Carr tossing one up to Henry Ruggs there in the end zone. How difficult is it as a team to overcome a loss like that really comes down to the final seconds?
It's heartbreaking. It definitely hurts a lot. But the game is what it is. We just gotta get to the film room, see what we can do better, and move on to the next game and just put all out there next week. So,
Ty, although the running game was very solid in today's performance, the offense still struggled in a few different areas. In the first half, there were 3 turnovers, 2 forced fumbles, and then 1 interception. What is it that the offense needs to clean up for the final 4 games of this season to have solid performances?
just everyone got to do their job, know your job, do your job well, execute, and obviously ball security. That's one of the main keys for any team. I feel like ball security and protect the ball.
Ty, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Get running for less at Dunkin' with a $1 medium hot coffee with a sandwich purchase. America runs on Dunkin'. Participation may vary. Exclusions apply. Limited time offer. You are watching Jets Overtime presented by Dunkin'. Eric Allen inside the BetMGM studio as we bring back Anthony Beck and Eric Coleman. Anthony, what did you think about Sam Darnold's performance today? Lost 2 fumbles on the strip sacks by Cleveland Farrell. Had an interception where he tried to get the ball to Brashad Perryman, but Trayvon Mullen came up with a great theft. So 3 turnovers in all. But on the other side of the coin, connected with Jameson Crowder for a pair of touchdown passes. And he also, like you talked, had that emphatic run where you could tell it was an angry run. So Darnold is kind of a mixed bag for both him and the offense, because the offense scored touchdowns on 2 of their first 3 possessions, but that was followed up by those 3 consecutive turnovers, and then they got hot in the fourth quarter again.
Yeah, listen, big picture of the game, the 3 turnovers converted to 10 points for the Raiders in this game. And you're right. Listen, you can say that, get rid of the ball quicker. Those were some bang bang plays with the strip sacks. It's hard to pinpoint. You'll have to go back and watch the film. Clearly, Farrell did a nice job on Becton. It's taken 13 weeks for teams to figure out Becton, and someone finally got by him. And then the interception, like you said, I don't know if Mullen could duplicate that catch again. That was a pretty incredible play. Sam Darnold, from a ball placement standpoint, could get that outside. But at the same token, I'm not quite sure that's where the ball should have went in that scenario. It was just tight coverage. I think it is a bit of a mixed bag. I think at the end, was he able to put a drive together to lead his team down the field? There was a mix of good runs in that drive in the fourth quarter. And obviously that QB read option, he was able to get in the end zone, lead his team down. You take the lead, you got yourself in a situation, to be on top late in the fourth quarter and take it out of the offense's hands, at least at that point. Now, the offense, of course, got the ball back again. The running game had been successful. What are you going to lean on that last series? You're going to try to run the ball. I mean, that's what you're going to try to do. That's been the priority of what's been working. And unfortunately, the Raiders, they knew that too. So they put a lot of people in the box, and you could have taken a chance there. A lot of things happen. You'd hate to see a turnover, a tip ball, the clock stops. I mean, all different kinds of scenarios in that situation. But, listen, I think that when you look at Sam's performance, I thought he started the game excellent. There's some passes that probably he wanted to take back that he tried to fit in there that were incomplete. There weren't any turnovers. But, again, I thought it was a better performance than last week's game.
14 of 23, Sam Darnold today. The 2 touchdowns, the 1 interception, the 2 lost fumbles on those Farrell sacks. What do you think about that run game and the push they got up front, Eric? Because a lot of times it felt like, fellas, when we're watching the game, that the Raiders were giving the Jets receivers a lot of respect because they didn't want them to run past them. So if they're playing back, that means a little bit of a lighter box, right, E?
Yeah, well, it was a lighter box. And, you got to give credit to the offensive line and the tight ends. I thought they did an excellent job. You even look at Denzel Mims, who had a great block on the perimeter on one of those runs. The offensive line really did set the tone today. They did a great job of creating lanes for the running backs to run through. And they did a great job of keeping their paths north and south, finding those holes and hitting them. It was great to see the Jets dominate on the ground. I would love to see more of it moving forward.
I guess the only criticism you would have offensively was that patch there in the first half where you have the turnovers. Then, and it seems like a lot of times this offense throughout the year, Anthony, has had a hard time getting going right after halftime, where at least today they showed some resolve in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, the third quarter wasn't great, obviously, because of the fact that Raiders came out and they were able to get a score. You got to look at this game as another big point in the game that you really had no answers for was the monster matchup we talked about before the game was Darren Waller, the tight end. A lot of free access for him off the line of scrimmage to run and get into his routes. I always felt like, as I watched Gronkowski over the years, teams made mistakes not getting on Gronk, and whether it was a defensive end slamming them before you pass rushed, or the linebacker, the safety, get your hands on them and just slow them down. Because what that does is, there's a process for the quarterback, right? He's got a progression. If Waller's the top progression, then that means his eyes will go to him soon. And if he's not getting into his route, what's he going to do? He should come off. If you can get him off his route or get him off where he's trying to go, that also disrupts the other pattern and routes that are going on. So, those are the advantages. Now, you can always get whipped at the line of scrimmage. There's no doubt about it. He could swim move you. He split out one time. I think he ran a quick slant versus a corner and ran it as good and was open just like a receiver would be. But I'll take a slant over some of the deep crosses and some of those sail routes that he was catching the ball on. So, they even missed him on a wheel route, up route later on in the second quarter, where he could probably had another 50-yard touchdown catch on that one. So what was the way to disrupt or take away their best guy? And I think
Anthony, we're dealing with a couple technical situations right now. We'll get him right back. Don't worry about that. The Raiders again, 31-28 victors over the New York Jets this afternoon. Let's go back to MetLife Stadium and hear from Jets head coach Adam Gase.
Adam, can you just, I know it was Greg's call, but can you just go over the decision? It looked like it was a pretty heavy blitz on the play where Ruggs ended up scoring a touchdown with no safety help, just man on the outside.
I mean, just we were trying to create pressure. You know, he hadn't done well with it all game, so you know, that's what happened. We had a couple free runners, but we didn't get there.
Is pressure even needed in that situation? All you have to do is stop the play from getting to the end zone. Even a short completion would have been okay.
Yeah, that's what we ended up pressuring.
Have you talked to Greg about, since the game ended, about his thoughts?
I just talked to him.
Did he explain his thought process?
He explained his thought process.
Adam, what do you even say to the team after this?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can say. I mean, we got to go back to work. I mean, these guys, I mean, they battled the whole game, and you know, we just gotta finish it.
Did you talk about the way Sam rebounded from some early turnovers and got some of the offense moving in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, he did some good stuff. I'm sure when we go back and watch it, you know, we can clean a few things up. You know, put ourselves in better position. It was good to see the run game get going. I thought, you know, it's unfortunate we had the 2 sack fumbles. You know, the pick we definitely can clean up. So, but there was a lot of good stuff. Good drive, get us in the end zone. You know, they're late in the game when we were down. You know, we gotta finish the game.
And what gave you guys so much trouble with Waller?
He's just a really good player. I mean, it's hard for us to match up with him, and you know, we were trying to find ways to get multiple guys on him, you know, through some of the zones, but you know, they were finding him. I mean, that's his guy. That's Carr's guy to begin with. You know, it's really tough to take him completely away. We just, you know, we gave him way too much, so.
You were watching Jets Overtime presented by Duncan. You just heard Jets head coach Adam Gase, who obviously you can see it on his face, emotionally upset, angry, everything coming together. I mean, that locker room has to be an awful place for the New York Jets today because they had it. They had it. 28-24. A lead with 13 seconds left. The Raiders got the ball at your 46-yard line. You could even go back to after the defense had to stop late in the game, like Anthony mentioned before, and the offense had the opportunity to run out the clock, so that's an opportunity that slips through your hands. But bottom line, you got to finish the game. The Jets didn't finish today. I want to ask you, Eric, since you did play the position, Waller, we knew he was going to be a matchup problem for this defense, but how does he go off for 200 yards receiving?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Yeah, and listen, the Raiders did a great job of finding holes in the zones, matchup situations where he was lined up against tight ends where they could expose him. But, you know, it's definitely a tough situation. You know, he's a great player. There's a reason why he's one of the best players in the league. You know, I would have liked to seen the Jets mix up some coverages a little bit, maybe some man-to-man coverage, some man-free with the whole defender so that safety can come down and play outside leverage. There's a linebacker underneath for the crossing routes, and they have him double-teamed in kind of a way. But, you know, he's a great player. He made some excellent catches. He's fast. He's a tough matchup for defensive backs, for linebackers. You know, and there's a reason why he's one of the top tight ends in the NFL. But great job by the Raiders. Great job by Gruden coming up with schemes to get him opportunities, and Derek Carr ultimately delivering the ball to him. So good game planning by the Raiders on that.
Anthony, we talked about the receivers, well, the quarterback, Sam Darnold, and his stats, but what did you think about the way the the quote-unquote three dudes, the Jets' top 3 receivers played? Jameson Crowder targeted a little bit more today, 5 receptions, 47 yards, 2 touchdowns. Perriman only targeted 4 times, Anthony. He just had the catch on the opening possession for 22 yards. Didn't have any other catches. which was interesting. And then Mims also a quiet day, 2 catches, 40 yards with a long of 23.
Yeah, Crowder dominated in the red zone. Clearly, he's uncoverable down there. He's able to find open spaces and get the touchdowns. Mims had a nice win on the goal line on the 2-point conversion, which was good to see. You're right. Maybe some more opportunities for him, but again, you have a little more balance in this game, right? You have your rushing attack working. I thought maybe off the rush that you'd see a little bit, 1 or 2 shots come off of that down the field, just because of the fact that, you were having so much success on that. But, again, I think it all comes down to feel and kind of how the flow of the game's going. And again, there was a little more of a balanced attack, and really both offenses kind of canceled each other out in this game. It was basically, the turnovers and of course the last play of the game. And to be quite, and I just want to be completely honest, the last play, I'm not quite sure in my 12 years of playing for a team, and Eric has played as long as me. I don't know if I recall, cover 0 blitz on the last play of the game from a 40+ yards out. I almost feel like, in the sense that you got to feel real good as a defense if a team has to go 40 yards and you can relax and play some space off of receiver, because nothing else matters unless you score a touchdown. So I would bet even want to pose the question is, when has Greg Williams ever ran cover 0 all-out blitz in that situation? So, those are all things, again, that was the play that was called. It wasn't executed. And I'll be honest, Derek Carr made a heck of a throw and dropped the ball right in there. And the double move, it fooled a defender that should not have bid on it in that situation with space. But in the big picture, not quite sure. I'm just trying to recall, as we're talking through here, is when I've actually seen that in my 10,000 plus snaps of football, me personally, in those type of situations at the end of the game. So very unique deal at the end there. And again, I'm sure it'll be talked about more, but big picture, it ultimately cost this team a victory that they should have had in hand.
Your thoughts? Anthony's coming full circle. I'm asking him about the receivers. He comes back to the final play because he's never seen anything like this before. And all Jets fans are going to be talking about it, and people throughout the league are going to be talking about this one play, the one situation. And it's interesting, guys. I thought Carr was bothered by the pressure on multiple occasions, but at the end of the day, he has 28 passes completed for 381 yards with the 3 touchdowns, and the final one is the dagger.
Yeah, when you look at his numbers, he seems pretty unbothered. 381 yards passing with 3 touchdowns is a pretty good day if you're a quarterback. But, to go back to that play, I've never seen that either, Anthony. I've never been at 40 yards out and called an all-out blitz. It's usually, I've been on teams where we take out a linebacker and bring in Calvin Johnson, to be the backstop for the Hail Mary. I've been on teams where we bring in, tall guys to come in and knock the ball down. But the reality is, if you keep them in bounds, you keep them in front of you, the game is over. You don't have enough time to run down and run another play, even if you give up a chunk play. So all you're doing is defending the end zone in that situation. And, to run an all-out blitz is very questionable, and I'm sure that Coach Williams probably regrets it. He's a well-respected coach. He's seen a lot of football in his day, and he's called a lot of good ones. But every once in a while, you call a bad one, and it comes back and bites you. And it really hurts the team today. But they'll dust their shoulders off. They'll get back to work. They'll watch the film and try to work to get another victory, because I think this team has a lot of pride. They want to go out there and win. They're coming out and practicing. They're playing hard throughout these games. The coaching staff is enthusiastic. They want to get a win, and they'll get one before the season ends.
I'm feeling that pride come out today when I hear Eric Coleman and Anthony Beck talk, because they were there. They're not guys who talk about football and never played between the white lines. They had a lot of success in the National Football League. And you get a sense today of how much this hurts every man in that locker room. And one of those guys right now, let's hear from, and that's Jameson Crowder, as our own Ethan Greenberg talked to the veteran receiver after this ball game.
now joined by Jets wide receiver Jameson Crowder. Jameson, how would you put into words what just happened on the field, especially emotionally for this team?
I mean, so it's tough to explain. I really can't even put it into words, man. It's tough to explain. It sucks, you know what I'm saying? It's a bad feeling. You know, it's crazy. I don't even know. I don't even know. So, it definitely sucks. That's all I can say. It sucks, man.
Moving forward, where does this team go from here after a heartbreaking loss? How do you make sure this game more than ever that you guys stay together?
I mean, you got to just, you know, come back, man. Just keep going. That's all we can do right now at this point. Just keep going. You know, we got 5 more games, something like that. Just take it week by week and just, you know, just try to keep, you know, get better and keep going. That's all we can do.
Jameson, what worked well for you today? You had 2 touchdown catches and you started to see the offense click a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we had some, you know, some good play calls. And Sam was able to find me on two touchdowns. You know, was able to move the ball up and down the field, I felt. And like I said, man, it just sucks, man. We didn't walk away with this W today.
You know, I feel like the past couple games, the story for the offense has been through the air with yourself, Brashad, and Denzel. Much of this game was Ty Johnson and Josh Adams. What was different about this offense in terms of the running game, and what does that do for you as a receiver?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps out the passing game for sure. You know, the way that those guys run the football today, you know, the defense had to pay more attention to the run game, and then it left holes in the, you know, down the field in the defense for guys like myself and, you know, Mims and other guys that make plays downfield. So, you know, the run game definitely helped out the pass game today.
And what was the message after the game from Adam Gase and the rest of the coaching staff? Because you said this earlier in this interview, it's kind of hard to describe what happened on the field, particularly emotionally for the players and the coaches.
Yeah, I mean, what Coach Gase just said, you know, just come back, be ready to practice, you know what I'm saying? Just keep going, keep trying to get better. So, excuse me, that's all we can do right now at this point. You know, I know that was basically his message, and that was it.
Jameson, appreciate the time.
Yep, thank you.
You're watching Jets Overtime presented by Duncan. A very honest, raw emotion there from Jameson Crowder, as one might expect, as we bring back Anthony Becht and Eric Coleman. Anthony, when I look at this schedule, this is going to be tough for the Jets moving forward. It's been tough to this point. We're through 3 quarters of the season. They're 0-12. They've talked about avoiding being that team who's 0-16 and joining the Browns and the Lions. But your next 2 weeks, you go to Seattle and play Russell Wilson. Then you got to come back here. You go to LA and face a very good Rams team. Then you host the Cleveland Browns. And then you end the season in New England, and the Patriots, who we all left for dead, they're up 21-0 on the Chargers, and they could need that game to stay in the playoff hunt in Week 17.
4 playoff teams that have everything for this season to finish on a high note on. Every game is important for them. And here you are versus a Raiders team that was nicked up with 2 key players in the game. They lost their starting corner early in the game. And you have a 4-point lead with 12 seconds left. You know, this one will hurt the locker room. You know, I know that the Jets have lost every game and they're all tough, but, you know, there are certain games throughout the season, in particular the Patriot game, where they still were resilient enough to come back after that loss when you feel like you had that W. And this game, to me, now with the circumstances, because I think everybody here, you don't sugarcoat it. I mean, they should have won the game. The players believe they should have won that game. And to see the way it ended, the way it did, it's going to linger a little bit. I just don't know if that quite shakes it off, because there'll be questions. There'll be conversations within players. I mean, this is real. This is how these are, the text chains, and, guys will be upset because they know none of these players want to lose every game, period. I mean, I'm just in-house, the way that they play and the way that they believe, that's what they in their hearts truly believe. But there were certain games that sting in this time of the year where, it's very easy for teams to pack up and just not show up and get their vacation plans going and all the stuff that's going on in the pandemic and whatever they're sacrificing family-wise. But, you culminate, all those things come together. This one's going to sting for a little bit. It will not go away just after watching the film. And I hope that these guys can come back, because I'm telling you right now, these last 4 games will be the hardest stretch of their season, period, outside of the 12 games they've already played. And those teams will be gunning for wins. They want to stick daggers in the Jets because they are making their run. And they're going to have to play perfect ball to win any of these games. And even if you did that, it may not be enough. So this was the one that you could have had. I think a lot of people felt that this could have been it, even before the game. And, you just came up short. And the way you lost just hurts, man. It hurts me. It hurts Eric. It hurts all of us. I mean, but I know as a former player being in that locker room, man, if I was on that field, I'd be pretty pissed, to be quite honest with you.
Eric, every player who's on that field today, they're going to be talking about this game the rest of their lives. I mean, yeah, the Jets weren't going anywhere this season in terms of playoffs or anything like that. But at 0-11, with a lead with 4 seconds left, this is a game that's going to stay with you, not just for the last quarter of games of this season, but for your professional career.
Absolutely. I'm sure, Anthony, you feel the same way, but there are literally plays that I remember in games that I made a mistake on that I still remember from year 3, from year 4. To end a game like this one, every time you see a Raiders logo, you're going to be reminded of this game and the way that it ended. And, it's unfortunate, but, as players, you have to find a way to try to dig deep and move on. I tell my daughter, after her swim meets, you got 24 hours to be happy or to be sad. After that, you got to reset. You got to go forward and work on the next game. And that's what the Jets are going to have to find a way to do. Although this one's going to sting, when you bring up Raiders, it's going to bother them. They have to find a way to come together and get through this one.
They got to find a way. You guys always find a way. Eric Coleman and Anthony Beck, thank you so much as always. We'll see you next week. A lot of storylines for that ball game because it's the Jets and the Seahawks. They're playing an MVP candidate in Russell Wilson, and of course, a former Jets safety in Jamal Adams. Joe Douglas striking that trade right around the beginning of training camp, before the beginning of training camp, as the Jets have a lot of draft capital moving forward, a lot of financial flexibility as well. But for the immediate days and weeks ahead, it has been an awfully tough season for the New York Jets and their fan base, and it continued today in gut-wrenching fashion. The final was 31-28. For all of us at Jets 360, enjoy the night, enjoy your week. We'll see you next week.